This is beautiful country around Kingman. But this gives you some idea. There's all the different things we've had here. I've never found the old ore mill here. I don't know where this has gone, but there was a ranch here. There was a reservoir, waterworks, hotel. And of course, this was an important campsite on that. The springs itself is right up here. And on his expeditions in 1776, Father Garces camped here. Lieutenant Beal in about 1858 camped here with his camel caravan. You can see there's some concrete right there where they've dammed up the spring. But usually the water, I mean, that's usually full this time of year, and it's really low. That picture you saw of the reservoir people swimming was here. There was a hotel here at one time. There was a German fellow out here that had an apple orchard. He sold apple pies for $1 a piece. Which, yeah. Apparently his pies were very good, but people got tired of paying the price. Somebody shot the fellow. The German fellow out here that was selling apple pies for $1 a piece.
Maybe it was his personality.
These need to be refinished or redone, but it's really nice what they're doing to explain this. And you can see some of the foundations for the ranch house right here.
You came back this way?
Yeah, you can see the foundations right here. And they had, like, say, an apple orchard down below.
A.S. Simmons. 18.
You know, I do not know why they've done this, but all the newspapers you read in these pre-1910, they never give the first name and middle name. It's always initials.
Oh.
Here again, you can see the foundations running through here. See, it would be right here.
Did they burn?
No, but they were used for different purposes.
The spit take there. Sorry.
Most of these, they were, when this was abandoned, the buildings were used for some, most of them were adobe and stone, but the wood was used for other purposes. And I understand the warehouse became storage for other property here. The camp was established in the early 1870s. The Wallapai they finally reached a point where they were getting tired of folks, and the Wallapai War got kind of nasty. So they established Camp Beal Springs. They had Fort Mojave, and then they had Camp Willow Grove, which would be south of Hackberry, southeast of Hackberry, and military patrols. And then After the subjugation of the Wallapai, this became the first Wallapai reservation.
They moved them out here.
Yeah, it was a pretty brutal. Well, the Wallapai, the Surbat clan of the Wallapai tribe was clans, and they had the Surbat clan, the Wallapai Mountain clan, different clans, and the Surbat clan this was their home, but they put them all together here. When they force marched them down there too, it wasn't just force marching. We still have the Colorado River tribe down there, and in the eyes of the American government, one Indian's the same as the other, so they just lumped them. We had Navajos there, we had Hopi, Zuni,
Where they take Mojave?
down to, yeah, the Colorado River Reservation, down on the river. And even though some of these people had, like I mentioned, the Apache and the Wallapai had been feuding for years, it didn't matter, we just put them all together down there. Yeah, they all looked exactly. These guys, I can't help but wonder, the military in these years, how much these guys out here in this, miles from anywhere, with their nice wool uniforms.
Did they have the camels here?
Yeah, Lieutenant Beal, he didn't so much write about this springs, and of course it wasn't called Beal Springs then, this is gone by several names, but he did write extensively about Atlantic Springs, which is down just about where that clump of trees is.
The big one right
Yeah, down, well,
or the next?
over by the end of that butte.
Yeah.
Down on where that road dead ends, Atlantic Springs. Sitt Greaves, all the expeditions were here, and more than likely, there was a pretty extensive Native American trade route through this whole area, connecting at least into New Mexico, Gran Quivira and Pecos, all the way to the California coast. And most of the main trade route was right through here, of course, because of water. And there's lots of water. There's this springs, Atlantic Springs, Coyote Springs is right up around that bend. And then I've taken Lori back Johnson Canyon. There's a big spring.
Well, my joke was, I'm like, is this how
In 1893-94, the Duryea brothers became the first to start producing automobiles for sale in the United States. In 1896, Barnum Bailey Circus gave top billing to a Duryea motor wagon over the albino and the fat lady. In 1897, Montgomery Ward said, "This is a fad you need to take your children to see before it passes." So smart, astute business people are always visionaries. And then 1899, we had the first automobile race in the United States.
Where was that at?
Chicago. And then by 1901, we had almost a dozen companies manufacturing automobiles for sale. And Henry Winton, he was a pioneer automobile manufacturer. He became the first person to attempt to drive across the United States. It took him about 2.5, 3 weeks. Made it from San Francisco to Nevada. And then 1903, Dr. Jackson actually made it driving across the United States
How many vehicles?
in a Winton automobile. It took him about 64 days. And it's another one of those things I'm convinced drinking was involved, because he did it on a $50 bet. By the time he was done, he spent well over $6,000, including buying the car. But it's amazing how fast people adapted to automobiles, considering, like this, there was, what we just saw over there, there was no roads. There's no place to buy gasoline. The things cost as much as a house, and they're probably going to be broken in 1,000 miles. But they adapted. We've been working on this Kingman Main Street project, and I'm astounded by how many automobile dealers were in Kingman starting 1915. Motorcycle dealers, there's at least a dozen different automobile manufacturers that were selling cars in Kingman that early.
Yeah, 'cause you have that Packard sign going.
Yeah, we had Packard, Studebaker. We had a Harley Davidson dealership here as early as at least 1919. And these people were, it's mind-boggling. What they just assumed it was an adventure. It's what we do.
It was independence too.
Yeah, and it was a new type of independence that people had never experienced before. But we had people in their motorcycles, women, driving cross-country on motorcycles in 1915. And in 1915, the Panama Pacific Exposition in California, they had over 20,000 people from outside the state arrive by automobile for that event. And yet, we were still running stagecoaches out of Kingman until 1916. Here's where I was mentioning that we had a gas station out here at one time. Yeah. Had kind of a captive audience to buy gasoline, don't you imagine? You know, that's a good guess. Automobile registrations went up fast here in Arizona. If I remember right, like 1909, there were somewhere around 600 vehicles registered. And by 1915, we were close to like 5,000 automobiles registered.
When did they start making you get a driver's license?
Well, each state was different. The earliest I know of was Massachusetts, was about 1906. But to show you there again, government always explodes on these things. I've got a 1909 book of automobile laws for the state of Illinois. The whole book is smaller than this cell phone. And then I have a book of motor laws from 1917. It's this thick, and it's a big leather-bound book. And it's volume 1 of 4.
Where's that one from?
It was National Automobile Laws. Mesquite trees are starting to turn green. That's always good. When they first came through, Kingman was in just a forest of mesquite trees where the town site downtown. I know, you know, people worry about snakes, but I've never had any real problems with snakes. You just pay attention. Common sense. Don't put your hands in bushes and under rocks, and watch where you're putting your feet.
Yeah, be the second person.
Well, that's always best.
Although I've heard that the first person startles them, the second person gets them.
Well, it's kind of like the old joke that two fellas being chased by a bear, and they get ahead a little bit, and one of the guys sits down on a rock, starts taking off his hiking boots, putting on his tennis shoes. And the other fellow says, what are you doing? You can't outrun the bear. He says, I don't have to. I just have to outrun you.
Yeah. Say bye.
Yeah, this is part of, like I say, the city got their water from here, Johnson Canyon, and Atlantic Springs initially.
So they piped it?
Piped it downtown.
This was just holding?
There's probably a wellhead, be my guess.
Connect with that.
They probably had a pump and windmill. I have no clue as to when all these pens and stone corrals and all this was built.
Looks like they have all land out here. Pen or for water?
This would have been probably a pen. No need for water. With you can see it across over there, and then they had a stone fence going up the hillside right there.
Yeah.
And you can see the old trails coming in here. Isn't this just an absolute beautiful place, though? 1.2 miles from downtown Kingman, an absolute desert oasis. And even the traffic doesn't intrude too much.
No, the hills kind of keep it back here.
I don't think I-11 will change that too much.
Oh, you don't? Well, it'll just.
It'll go down below those mesas over there and tie in.
Okay, so it'll probably.
Yeah, it'll be down a little further.
They wouldn't actually get on the freeway. This gets so bad.
This has gotten, this is a huge bottleneck. Weekends, I've seen pictures that backed up all the way in the Golden Valley.
Yeah, and then they come up and across, and they think they're still on a freeway, and they're not.
Yeah, that's the part I didn't like with.
Just wanted to thank everyone today for watching the show, and sorry about the wind. Here at Camp Beal Springs, it was a little windy out today, but it was a good walk. It's about a 30-minute walk. We encourage everyone to get out and exercise a little and see the countryside. If you're looking for more of Mr. Hinckley's walks and tours, you can get a hold of him at Jim Hinckley's America and follow him around. He enjoys the company and he likes sharing his knowledge with us. And we're sorry about the wind today. Y'all have a good day.
How you doing? Good to see you again. My name is Mark. If you forgot, I want to welcome you to a new day in the Lord. I want to talk to you about communication today. Communication is a two-way street. For the speaker, it's important that you be accurate so that they hear what you really mean to say. And for the hearer, that you really need to pay attention to make sure you're hearing what they are actually saying, not what you think they're saying. For example, I was in the restaurant with my wife the other day at Cracker Barrel, and we see all kinds of people, and nobody's talking at the table. They're doing this on their text and their phone and their pads. I thought, well, how sad is that? And we were getting ready to leave, and we saw a young boy or a young man and his date, I think it was. And they sat down, and I'm not even joking. They said nothing to each other the whole meal, at least by the time we left. And I thought, well, how sad is that? How do you have a relationship based upon eating food and not talking? And something even more close to home, I went to see my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, yeah, I'm old, in Washington. And after the initial get-together and we say, oh, here's some pictures and how cool that was and remembers down memory lane, I went and got some pizza because I thought, let's get a pizza in the movie, sure. And I came back into the room. I'm not exaggerating. They were all texting. There was 8 of them in the living room, and they were all texting each other in the same room. They're right next to each other. They're not talking. And so my point being is this, that talk to each other. Talk to God. Let him talk to you. Listen, after you get talking to God, don't just do all the talking, let him talk to you. Talk to your neighbor. I was down in Southern California visiting my daughter one time, and she was not home, so I was parked and I was listening to some music, and I saw her neighbor come up. So I just was friendly. Hey, how you doing? My name is Mark, and this is my daughter lives here. And we had a good conversation. My daughter came home, and I said, you got a very, very nice neighbor. I forgot her name. She says, I never met her. She just lived like 20 feet away. She never talked to her neighbor. So I want to encourage you just to talk to people. You don't know what you could say, just a smile, just a good word that would change their heart. It could make their day. It could change their life. So whatever God tells you to say, share. But you don't have to be like a Jesus guy. Just be you. God has created everybody to have a compassionate, kind heart. We get so wrapped up in our own life, we forget to share with other people. So just love people, be kind, and love. This is Mark. I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Mark. I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. We appreciate all your help. Look forward to next time. Have a great day.